check out some replays of Major Havoc.
This video was sponsored by Surfshark VPN. More about that later. We're in the Redbull Soapbox Race. This year, Alexandra Palace, July 3rd, 2022. I actually applied for this race in January of this year. They got back to me today, which is the 1st of May, which only gives me about 10 weeks to make the whole soapbox, the set, the design, the performance, everything. So we've got some work to do. Looking at the rule book for this event, it says team members must be 18 years or over. The team must consist of 4 people, so I need to assemble a team. No more than 2 people are allowed in the soapbox. The soapbox must be less than 2 meters wide, 2.5 meters tall and 3.5 meters long, 10 centimeters clearance from the ground. The maximum weight of the soapbox is 80 kilograms, excluding the driver. All entries must be homemade. Modified carts are not permitted. Racing machines must carry completely functional brakes and steering. Braking with the hands and feet are not permitted. Soapboxes must be powered by the strength of a push and the gravity of the hill, so no stored power or external energy sources including engines, petrol, batteries, electrical cords, catapults, afterburners and the like are not allowed. Drivers and co-drivers are required to wear a helmet, etc, etc. Drivers and co-drivers are not allowed to be physically attached to the soapbox or enclosed in any kind of capsule. Pyrotechnics and smoke canisters are not allowed, it's a shame. So at this point, if your soapbox doesn't end up in the local design museum, please select building materials carefully so that your machine doesn't impact too harsh on the environment. Now we may have a problem there because when I sent this off, my application form, my soapbox was made mostly of foam. We may have to change some things to use materials that are a little bit more environmentally friendly. But we'll have a look at that a bit later. All chosen soapbox races and drivers and team members should be available to arrive on Saturday, the 2nd of July 2022, when race control will guide them to the pitch for scrutineering. Those are the rules. I've been accepted. I have 10 weeks. I guess I best get on with it. This is the picture that I sent in for the application process. The soapbox is called the Rocket Rodeo. I'm going to make a couple of changes though from what you can see here. I'm not going to use conventional steering. I'm going to use a lever or joystick type steering, which I think will be a little bit stronger. Will also fit inside the rocket body a little bit easier. I'm also not going to use the foam you can see there. It's going to be a complete solid body. This is what we sent in for the risk assessment for the use of CO2 and LED lights with a lithium battery. The CO2 is going to make a smoke effect out of the back of the rocket and lit up by the LEDs. Just one change to that though, the CO2 canister will have to be upright instead of horizontal so that it doesn't freeze up. This is exactly 1/24th scale. It's a strange picture, it's a horizontal and vertical view of the soapbox. It should look something like that when it's finished. One of the trickier parts of the build was to set the angle of the frame and each individual wheels. The front wheels needed to have some toe out and the back wheels some toe in. That was going to give it more stability. We had to assemble like a wooden frame, like a jig. When we put the frame into the jig, that lined up the wheels, but it took some time to get that right so it'd be nice and true. We're using wheels off a pit bike. These were the strongest wheels I could find. They actually weigh about 6 kilograms each, so they took up quite a large portion of our weight allowance. The axles were a 15mm hardened steel axle, again off a pit bike. Looks like a giant shark. Ah, that reminds me. This video was sponsored by Surfshark VPN. What's a VPN, you might ask? Surfshark VPN is a tool which allows you to connect to the internet in a safe and confidential way. In other words, it's like a shield. Everything behind it is not easily visible to those who might run into it. I live in the UK. Through Surfshark VPN, I can connect to a server in the US. My information is sent through another IP address. My identity and location are protected. However, it does more than just that. Surfshark VPN helps me to watch blocked Netflix content in the UK. I'll show you how to do it. It's really simple. You log in to Netflix, you connect to Surfshark VPN, select United States as a location. Now all the US TV shows and movies are available. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee policy, so don't hesitate to try it out. And if you click the link in the description of this video, you'll get 83% off and the first 3 months for free. Let's get back to the action, now to paint the soapbox. This is an aluminium plate with lots of LEDs to go in the back of the soapbox. I'm going to make like a flame effect. Custom circuit board. MOSFETs that power the LEDs. Works on this remote control here. Check that out. We're almost done. Ay ay ay! Like Superman. We had a problem with our steering. The bottom piece hits the chassis when it steers like that. So if this wheel is bent up at all, that hits the chassis. So we have come up with this idea, which is going to get welded in here, which is going to help the steering rack to glide around and no longer hit the chassis. Some last minute changes there.
Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Those 10 weeks went really fast. I only just finished the soapbox in time, but we had it packed up and ready to go on the Friday before the event. We arrived in London early Saturday morning at Alexandra Palace, the event site, where we were each given a time slot where we would go to the pit and load up our soapbox. There's lots of spare time to kill on the Saturday. There was a really cool VIP driver's lounge which you could go and sit around, play games, drink some Red Bull. On that Saturday you get an inspection and an MOT. This is where they make sure that your soapbox complies by the rules and is safe and roadworthy for the day. Each team then get to walk down the track, so you get to see what you're going to be faced with the next day. The track at Alexandra Palace is a straight line. The only corners really are made by hay bales that are placed in the road that you have to weave in and out of. There are 4 jumps down the track. The first jump seemed to catch the most people out, seemed to be the hardest one, but the last jump is by far the biggest at nearly 600 millimeters in height. At the end of the day on Saturday, each of the teams and drivers have to report for a driver's brief. There are 70 teams of 4 people in each team. After the driver's brief, you have a barbecue and get to spend some time and meet the fellow soapbox drivers. You have to arrive early then on Sunday morning, the event day. You get there and then wait for a panel of celebrity judges who go along to each soapbox and judge the quality of your soapbox. At 10:30 on the Sunday, the main gates opened and 20,000 people came to the event. Many of those people want to walk around the pit area to see the individual soapboxes and to talk to the soapbox teams. It's an extremely busy day. It's important then not to miss your time slot. Our time slot was 2:30. We had to be in the queue for the main stage. We just had a few minutes left for some final testing, and then we packed up and went to the performance area, and this was our performance.
Alright, let's get ready for our next performance. Let's hear it from Major Havoc!
The confidence of these guys.
I think we did quite well for our first time competing in a soapbox race. As you can see, at the early part of the race, we picked up a lot of speed, but we took a lot of damage on that first jump. We actually snapped the chassis, which slowed us down, and at the end, we needed a little push to get across the finish line. We ranked 24th out of 70. Immediately after the race, you wheel the soapbox into a secure compound. It's quite interesting to see the amount of damage on each of the soapboxes that were there. And then once the race is over and the public have left the event, you're allowed back to the compound to collect your soapbox, and then it's about a half-mile walk to wheel your soapbox back to the parking area and load it onto your van. The Redbull Soapbox Race is an amazing experience. The rodeo is still in good shape. I'm going to fit a jet turbine in the back of that soapbox to see how fast we can get it to go. Massive thank you to Surfshark for sponsoring this video and making this whole journey possible. Don't forget to check out their product. The link is in the description below.